Naked Heart Revolution is the go-to podcast for high-achieving individuals seeking to transform their relationships and life. Hosted by Jenny Bingham, an intimacy reset coach. Each episode explores emotional reconnection, personal growth, or business insight through expert guests sharing real stories and strategies. Whether you want to deepen your connection with your partner or elevate your business, this podcast delivers the tools and mindset shifts needed for lasting change. Subscribe to join the community focused on intentional healing and empowerment. So, okay, now, beautiful Coach Deshelle, tell me, what are the different things that you help leverage the truth for? Like the type of coaching you do, and well, women, men, workers, just give us a lowdown here.
Especially being a Black woman, particularly in America, we cannot get angry about it. We cannot be sad. We cannot roll our necks. We cannot have any emotions around the weight that is placed on us. Otherwise, we get other labels. We're expected to grin and bear it and just hold it all together. Be the strong one. We wear those capes with pride, and there's all kinds of coaches that help you be strong and all those kinds of things. And I'm of the mind frame that I'm dropping the cape. I'm done with all of that. At the end of the day, I've been calm my whole life. That's never been a problem. But the clarity is not something I always had. And so the clarity is what gives me the peace and the tranquility and the ability to really stand rooted, not calm because I'm hiding or performing, but calm because I'm clear about the next step as I sit in the midst of uncertainty. And that is a power that comes from within, that can't be shook, that can't be taken. And that is what I want to help women reclaim or remember, because it's not something outside of yourself. It's not something I have to give you. It's something you have to remember that you already have. And sometimes folks need permission and a container to be able to catalyze that truth. And that's what I hold space for.
Okay. Boy, that's like a package all in itself. And it's within just a few minutes explaining all that in such very precise wording. Boy. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you give an example of someone you have helped, or example of the people that you can help already?
Absolutely. So just to talk in general, the topics that I coach, and I'm also a speaker, so the topics that I coach and speak on very much intertwine and overlay and kind of are pentacles for this overarching theme of remembering who you are. Okay, and my approach is very much a soul-driven approach. I'm very spiritual, and so I call myself a soul, mind, body coach, right? In that order, and it's on purpose, because it starts with the soul, then it's the mind, and then the body follows. And so the soul approach I use to really interweave a number of the 6 primary topics. And so one of them is called the soul's journey to becoming. And so that is something I have walked, and I have intermingled with others and helped other women at various points throughout their journey to help them be honest and listen to those whispers from their soul. And that is a very pivotal piece. Another is the cost of being the reliable one. And we talked a little bit about that around wearing that cape with pride and feeling like we cannot put it down and we are not allowed to put it down, and helping people to realize you do not have to wear that cape. That cape is actually a lie. It's cracked and it's killing you. And so that's another area that I help women peel back those layers. Another is the leadership lie. As Black women, especially now, we seem to be emerging into more and more leadership roles and being made responsible for cleaning up things that have been dirty for generations before us. But we are tokenized and stuck into roles where we have to stand tall, stand strong, and clean up all this mess and do it with a smile. And we have to perform, even though we're exhausted, right? But figuring out how to peel back the layers on that lie and how you can be an authentic and empowered leader, walking in your truth while still being vulnerable and being honest, that is something we're very afraid to do when you're in leadership roles. There's not really room for that. You can't let the mask crack. You can't be honest. You can't let anything drop. And it's actually a lie. Vulnerability is where all the power is, and you actually connect with more people and you lead better when you lead from a place of authenticity. Then people can see themselves in you and you can have more influence and more impact. So it's about breaking cycles and intergenerational wounds and patterns. I actually published my memoir last year, book one of a 3-book series last year, and that's really what it's all about. I come from a lineage of women who have performed and hid and lied, and had lives shrouded in shame and secrecy and abuse and all kinds of trauma, and that was how they survived. And it stops here. It stops here. I'm speaking, I'm telling, I'm talking about it. I choose to heal. I choose to break those cycles. And that's not always easy, because that's stuff you talk about around the kitchen table, or in some families you don't even talk about, you don't mention. And so speaking out about it and speaking up when those wounds run so deep, it is risky, it's scary, but sickness breeds in silence. And so the only way you can really heal is to speak on it. And that's another area that I give space to, that I'm honoring and living in my own way through my writing, through the coaching and my speaking, and creating intentional space for that. And finally, all of those kind of come together, and walking in your truth. That's what I help people do at the end of the day, whether it fits into any of those other buckets, whether I am working as an executive in a government agency or community-based agency, whether I am speaking on a stage or to an audience and a podcast or whatever that may be, whether I am coaching someone. At the end of the day, what I am helping you to do, what I'm catalyzing and holding space for, is for you to walk in your truth, because the world shifts when we all walk in our truth. And that's just period. That's it. That's it.
That's a definite, like, everything changes when we, well, are true to ourselves. That's
Yep.
so, yeah, that's such a great
Yep.
reminder. My
Yeah.
question for you is, what if people want to change? What happens when people want to change, but they're not quite sure what's the next step? They know something's off, but it's like, well, I've always known this routine. I've always gone and done this
Mm-hmm.
way. I've followed this
Mm-hmm.
process. Something's off, but I don't know how to get through it. How do you help those
Yes.
individuals?
Yes. 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 I think what's important with that is to first really realize that that's the first step. That's your soul whispering to you. And learning to even pay attention to that whisper is so powerful. Like, it's so incredibly powerful, because the world is noisy. Like, we are bombarded with thousands of pieces of information all the time. And in this age of technology that we're in now, especially when we talk about social media and just like all the things, it is so noisy. It is so noisy. And I think the last thing I read, they said our attention spans are like at 7 seconds on average.
Yeah.
So it's like you just spin it like on a regular basis. So to be able to actually hear that whisper, oh, that's powerful. Like, just that in and of itself is power. That's where the magic is, because that whisper ain't gonna lie to you. The problem is figuring out the difference between that whisper and all that other noise.
Oh.
And so listening to the whisper is the answer. That is the key. And from there, you then commit to the journey.
So when with the whisper, if we could describe it in a different way as well, is, I'm guessing, an uneasiness or a desire for a difference, or
Mm-hmm.
a thought of, okay, hold on, I want to change something, or something, the feeling that's actually there.
Yeah.
So it could be an
Yeah.
actual whisper, an actual thought, an actual feeling. So does all
Mm-hmm.
those count, right?
All of it. All of it counts. It could be also come in the form of like you're just exhausted and overwhelmed. You're like decision fatigued, if you will. Like you have to make so many decisions a day, all day long. Like, do you know how much, just about food? You know how much you have to think about food every day? It's just to like make decisions about what you gonna eat all day long. If you're responsible for others, what they gonna eat. Like, just food alone is a bunch. So you get tired of making decisions. You're overwhelmed. Sometimes you need a coach. Sometimes it's a pastor. It depends on what that looks like for you. But at the end of the day, you need to practice cultivating space for it. It's not an easy thing to do. I have to fight to make space for it every single day of my life because the storm is real. It ain't going nowhere. Life will keep lifing. It ain't gonna just get quiet and peaceful for you to be able to sit down and listen to the whisper. Like it's great when I go on vacation and I can go on these retreats and things like that and create that kind of space. But it don't just come. It takes a lot of planning and money and all of that to be able to go and go on those treks and things like that. I have to practice every single day ways to quiet the noise and develop rituals that help me come back to myself and remember who I am. It's not easy. It's not easy because everybody wants a piece of you all the time.
So here's two points I'd like to dive more deep with you. One, I'm going to ask you, when a person hears or feels something's off, but they're afraid to go in that direction.
And this reminds me of like one of my favorite scriptures: "Be still and know that I am God." Like, be still. That easier said than done. But I have it in my office, I have it in my bedroom, I have it all around because that reminds me to stop fighting, to stop pushing, to stop trying to control, to stop trying to make this and make you. And if that one would just, and if you just sit down, and if I just be still, then I can hear it and stop trying to force and do everything. So it's being able to listen, but then also being able to have the courage to take that next step. And sometimes you need to give yourself permission to do that, because a lot of times we don't feel like it's okay to choose ourselves. And there's a lot of conditioning around that. We think it's selfish. We think it's wrong. I mean, we just had Valentine's Day a couple of days ago, and how many people looked at that as an opportunity to love themselves? Or did they go and buy stuff and figure out what you needed to do for somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like taking that next step. Like, you have to have the courage to do that. And you can't get around it. Like, we all got agency. So it's really about that agency. It's about taking the next step. Find me though. You can find me on all the socials. I am available. I am taking clients. So if something in this is speaking to you and touching you, reach out. Reach out. I am available to hold space and catalyze it, because I'm not giving you anything. Let's be clear. It's in you already. What you need is permission. You give to yourself, but I can hold space for you to do that. But I create a container that's safe for you to be able to do that, for you to choose yourself, but you still got to show up. You got to make the decision that the investment in yourself is worth it. It's a shift I've had to do. I didn't think I needed to spend money or actual time or investment in myself. Somebody had to train me, teach me, mentor me, coach me that you are your greatest asset. And so it's only now that I've gotten to the point where I spend more money on myself than I do on my car. That wasn't always the case. That wasn't always the case, because that's not what society tells us to do. So it's definitely about that agency, listening to the whispers and then exercising your agency to take the next step. And then the final piece is the investing in yourself, right? Like, you have to believe that you're worth it. You have to believe that loving you first is the way to love everybody else.